Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. Hey, lovers of small businesses and good stories in general. Welcome to episode 143 of Small Business War Stories. And today I was in the Mississippi Delta in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I sat down with Bubba O'Keefe, who is the tourism director for Clarksdale, Mississippi. And he is somebody who is heavily invested in helping small businesses get started in Clarksdale. And Clarksdale is a place that is the birthplace of the blues, the whole Mississippi Delta area. So a lot of blues musicians came from there. They moved up to Memphis, started rock and roll, moved up to Chicago, and that is, the birthplace of American music. And Bubba is somebody who has helped a lot of businesses get started, and we talk about what are the things that Clarksdale has going for it, and really who should and who shouldn't get involved in something like this. It's also really interesting because he's got a lot of experience. He's seen a lot of things succeed and fail in terms of starting small businesses. But this was a great episode, and I learned a lot. We had it at the boutique of Brooke Atwood, who is a designer who just opened her store in Clarksdale. So it was very appropriate. And if you enjoy this episode, please do share it with a friend. If you, somebody who maybe likes the blues, likes traveling, likes designer clothing, all of those things come up in this episode. So you can refer them to smallbusinesswarstories.com. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode, number 143, with Bubba O'Keefe. And we are live here in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I have the pleasure to sit down today with Kinchin Bubba O'Keefe, who is the Grand Poobah, the Director of Tourism here in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I mean, I kind of like to be thought of as the Minister of Tourism.
The Minister of Tourism. That's good. Well, we should start. I'm going to start a petition to change your title to that.
Oh, that's good. I'll sign it.
That's awesome. So we are sitting here actually in a very special place. It's Brooke Atwood's new boutique.
I know.
And this is really special because this is one of the businesses that you have helped foster here in Clarksdale. And I love Clarksdale. I've been here. It's been 4 or 5 times over the years, and I've interviewed many folks from the Shack Up Inn and the new Roxy, Meraki Coffee Roasters, the Birch Hotel, and this is a community that's really exciting. There's a lot of things going on. What are you doing to help businesses, to support businesses to come here? And tell me a little bit about your story. You were born here, and then how did you find yourself in this position?
Yes, I was born here, and then I came back in '99 after being gone for about 5 years, and I've just called back this way because of the Delta. I just love the mystique of the Delta and small town, life. And so when I came back, it was just kind of dark and vacant downtown, and just no people.
Yeah.
And it was in '99 that I really found out about, I'd grown up with the blues. One of the greatest blues musicians, Fred McDowell, worked for my father. I used to sit by him on the gas pumps. And, he would go on tour and come back and pump gas. And then I found out about Tennessee Williams. And a lot of the people characters were named for real people in Clarksdale. I knew these people.
Okay.
And it was like, oh my gosh, because my two favorite movies of all time is To Kill a Mockingbird and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And to think that I'm living here, and breathing it, experiencing it, it just changed my life. So I just said, well, let's do something. And we bought a building. My wife had a boutique, and we bought a building and bought another building and a lot more buildings. And I would hold them waiting for the right people, right mix to come in. Uh-huh. At first I did start out, I have to confess, I started out to make a killing. Okay. And in 3 years I realized that ain't happening.
Okay.
And it became a mission because
it's gotta be about the soul and the
I didn't you might have all these fancy ideas, But I soon realized that it was not to be Bubbaville, because I had all this stuff. And I tell you, this place, Brooke Atwood's place, it just really speaks to me because it is so different than the pace that's been going on. And that's not to change the direction, that's add to the whole mix of what's going on here. It is a hip, vibrant movement that you couldn't orchestrate. Yeah. It has to evolve.
It has to be organic too, right?
It has to be organic, and as you've met the many people that are around here from not only all over the United States but all over the world. With Theo Dasbach from the Netherlands, and Johnny Cass from Sydney, Australia, and Adrian Koski is from Melbourne, Australia. 10 years ago, time passes, or longer, there weren't 5 cars on these streets.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I've seen, and even in the 5 years that I've been coming here, I've seen a lot of changes. And I'll tell you what, like I've covered about 15,000 miles in 142 episodes now of this podcast. And what is the it factor? What's the thing that turns a community and invites people? Because I've seen a lot of places that want to foster growth, that want to bring artists, that want to make it exciting to be there, and it doesn't always work. And it seems to be working here. What do you think is the difference maker in terms of that?
Well, when we started, one of the books that I read was called Boomtown, I think, in this town, because I'm like reading, trying to figure out what is going on, tipping point. What is it that this town? This is weird. We're experiencing things. I knew the founder of the the Delta Blues Museum. I would develop photos for them and do help, and he's a good friend. And you knew something was going on with all the visitors we had all over the world. And I've seen this from a kid, even in the 5th grade. I remember meeting a guy from England downtown and saying, "Hey, I'd been to England." I said, "Why don't you come to the house? We'll have a sandwich." So I took him to a sandwich, and then he gets back on the bus and leaves. What is this? I mean, you're in Clarksdale, Mississippi. You're not in Atlanta. You're not in Nashville, not in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we kept seeing a growth. And so it was just a sense of, I opened a store right there where Cathead is.
Yeah.
He bought it from me.
Yeah.
The first 3 months I was in business, I was not selling the blues products like Roger was. I was selling more local type artwork and crafts to try to just support our local artists.
Right. And we're talking, just to make sure we get the plug right, it's Roger, who has a business called Cathead here in the Delta, which is an incredible combination of art gallery, record store, music venue. It's all those things in one, right?
Yeah, and it's almost a museum just to go in there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But in the first 3 months that I was in business, we had the New York Times did an article on me on that store, the Sunflower River Trading Company. It was on the Living and Art section, the cover of the Living and Art section, New York Times. I'm going like, what's going on? And then you meet somebody else, and I met John Henschel on the corner down here from Melbourne, Australia, and he's an urban economist. He's been here 22 or 3 times in the last 19 years or 18 years.
Yeah.
He wrote a book on Clarksdale that was just published in January, Revitalization of a Small Town.
Okay.
And so all these things are just happening, and you just collect these thoughts, but people come along like Stan, Stan Street has the Hambone Gallery.
Yeah.
He bought a building. And then Theo Dasbach, we were in my museum right next door, the WRX Radio Museum, and he says, well, I got a museum too.
Yeah.
I said, well, bring it to Clarksdale. Where is it? He said,
and I interviewed Guy Malvesi too. Him and his partner Bill.
Yeah.
Did the Shack Up Inn, and that was a great episode. That was early on, about episode I want to say 30 or 40 or so. But they started bringing in shacks and bringing in tourists who wanted that experience.
Well, and you know what it is we were living it, but the world was wanting to know about it. And they knew the knowledge of all of this, and so they want to live and experience what we do on a daily life.
Right.
And you've met enough people in Clarksdale. We got more characters than Sesame Street, and you just walk outside. I mean, you're immersed in everything you read through Tennessee Williams or in the blues. It's not something you create.
Yeah.
And we just embraced it. And I think that's the thing, and embracing it and making a pathway for others to plug in. Because, people come here and they say, well, how do you treat outsiders? Well, I don't even like that term. You're not an outsider. When you come into Clarksdale, whether you're a visitor or where you're coming to make this your place to stay, you're in.
You're just a new friend.
That's right. They're the new Clarksdale, actually. Brooke, Johnny Cass, Roger, all these people are the new Clarksdale. And that's what's exciting.
Yeah, and it's actually coincidental and incredibly fortunate that we happened to be walking down the street after I played at Ground Zero, and we walked in here, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, let's check it out. And then it so turns out that we are now recording here, and this is the first day in business for Brooke Atwood. And how, I mean, you see a lot of really cool, businesses open up like this. Now, I interviewed also the Auberge Hostel recently, and they also did a terrific job with that building, and also Callie Nolan with Meraki Roasters and those folks. So it's, for me, like the sense that I get, it's people who give a damn, But how do you figure that out? Because one of the things you told me is that you want to warn people or like tell people, make sure that they know that. You thought you were going to come here to make a killing. How do you talk to people when they're like, oh, I want to invest in Clarksdale, and to make sure that you communicate to them that they're doing it for the right reasons and it has to do with the soul of the place and not because they think they're going to make a killing, because it's a kind of a fine line to walk, right? How do you think about that?
Well, the fact is it's the truth. So, what you don't want to do is somebody to move here with expectations that aren't fulfilled, that it fails, and then they leave in 6 months.
Right.
And the thing is that...
Has that happened before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think now, though, we've created enough of an environment that people, when they start talking around and asking others, that they it's a sense of place. And what the main thing is that it's about passion. Every one of the people that we've talked about, it is passion driven.
Yeah.
It is not just a product.
Right.
And I think that's the big difference. What started out for me was a product, and then it became a mission. And I wasn't a happy camper. Let me tell you, I cried a lot. I screamed a lot.
Yeah.
My wife said it's not another woman she's worried about; it's another building. That's
that's a good song. You ought to write that.
that's for you to do. But and so you get antsy, and you're paying all these notes on these buildings and the interest and the taxes and everything, and you just got to well, I tell you, for me, God just got me through it, because this is not something I could do. And so now I've realized that just like this place, and I hate to keep bringing up Brooke Atwood's place.
Well, but don't hate it. We're here.
Well, I mean, it has been vacant so long, and nobody could see it, And to be in this place now and to see it, you could be anywhere in the world, and hold your head up high with what you've got and not feel like you sold your soul out.
Yeah.
And it mixes well with everybody else. Cathead, same thing. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a world-class place because they are authentic, they're passionate,
right.
And those are things you cannot buy.
Right. So when people ask you like, hey, can I buy a building in Clarksdale? What should I do? And like start a business, you kind of try to like ask them the questions and inform them to make sure that they're self-selecting in for the right reasons. What
is your passion? Right. What do you want to do? What are you looking for? You looking to flip this building? Because in Clarksdale, you don't flip a building, you flop a building. I mean, it's not for, is it a good investment? Again, what are you looking for in return? Is it I think they are good investments, because what we're doing here through these buildings and these enterprises are changing lives in a community.
Right.
It's not about a vertical impact or financial gain. It's about a horizontal impact in a community that is a third world country in the United States. Where the problems, sorry.
It's okay, brother.
The problems of the people are very personal. You can insulate yourself from it, but how can we use this to improve our community? The people think that the problems of Clarksdale is crime and and obesity and health and work and all this stuff. And those are our issues. But I first realized when it became a mission, it was a sense of hopelessness. And then I realized last year, a lot of these people don't even know what hope is. It was beyond hopelessness. It was so beyond hopelessness, despair doesn't even set in. They don't even know hope exists.
Yeah.
They see that in these storefronts. They see that in the people coming. They see that in the Kingfishers and the Big A's that play.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that. So I had an experience like that. I was in Marks, Mississippi, which is not too far from here.
I know Marks.
Yeah, and I was in Marks when Kingfish played there. They did a festival to ask the train to stop there so the kids could go to school in the town over.
Yep. I mean, that was a big feat to get Amtrak to stop there.
And it's amazing. I heard that it does now.
Yeah, I mean, they stop in Greenwood an hour and 20 minutes from here, and they stop in Memphis an hour and a half in here. And this one lady got Amtrak to stop in Marks in between those 2 points.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And so,
that gives people more opportunity and more hope, because I agree with you. I see that. I've felt kind of powerless. I'm like, man, like how do you even?
So there's a lady, Miss Sadler.
Yeah.
She greets every train. They come in at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. You never know if somebody's getting on or getting off. She doesn't.
Yeah.
And so either it stops or it doesn't. She's there for every train. She waves to every train. She'll take names of everybody that gets off of that. She counts the people. Yeah. She does that voluntarily.
Yeah.
So one time I was over there, was picking up some people, and I asked her, I said, Miss Sadler, you ever been on a train? She'd never been on a train. I said, man. I said, if we got you a train ticket, where would you like to go? Well, I'd like to go to Chicago to see my mother. Let's get you that train ticket. And I haven't yet. She's still trying to pick a date. I'm like, how old's your mother? Like 90. Well, you about to go today.
Yeah.
So, but it's those type people that impact the movement going on. It is beyond. I don't even like the word tourist, and I'm the director of tourism. People that come here are our guests. Tourists are people with dollar signs on their forehead, and we don't look at people like that. You become part of us. We become part of you, and that's why people come back. It is engaging with people that make this whole vibe what it is, and music accentuates that. Food helps. All that stuff helps. It's a phenomenon.
No, it's amazing, man. And this place moves you. I mean, I've written some of my better songs here. I had the opportunity to play Ground Zero today, which is just a place that just envelops you in a way that's it's magical.
Well, my brother calls it the vortex, the Clarksdale vortex. It just sucks you in.
Yeah. So, how do you keep this going? How do you ride this momentum? And a lot of small business owners or people who are thinking about starting a small business listen to the show. Who are the kind of people that should come here, and who are the people that maybe should look for somewhere else? I mean, what are the things that one of the things that came up, by the way, in the episode with Robert at the Ober's Hostel is the way that the community welcomed them and helped them with getting everything started. I mean, what are the kinds of businesses that you're looking to get here, and how does that? What resources are available for people?
Well, I'm not. My goal is not necessarily my goal is just to tell them the truth. What is the market that you're looking at? If your product is what I think is a real good fit, I say, oh man, we want you here. Yeah. And what are you looking for? Mm-hmm. And again, the main thing in Clarksdale is trying to make a living, not trying to make a killing, because that ain't gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Not realistically, but you can. This can be a platform for you to live what you really want to live. It's something you're passionate about. A passionate person is stronger than 10 hardy working men or 100. Yeah. You cannot stop anybody with passion, and I can tell you that myself. It will push you beyond the limits of what you think you can stand. Right. And that transcends economic problems. people said you had a vision. I said, well, for a while there, I thought it was a hallucination because,
Well, sometimes a distinction is tough, man.
It is.
No, it's true.
And
it's true.
So now I feel very blessed in that I don't have to keep it going. And I wasn't the one keeping it going. I was just one of the early catalysts. Yeah. But now it's all the other people that are doing it. I mean, Roger, my gosh, he's got a following internationally that's incredible. He puts out Sounds Around Town weekly. And if you look at that list, it blows any city music scene out of the water.
It is pretty incredible.
Live blues music 7 nights a week in Clarksdale, Mississippi, not just this week. Every week throughout the year.
Yeah, including there's a lot of good festivals, but that even like when there's not a festival going on,
you got something going on. Yeah, we got over a dozen festivals, and that's not only blues festival, that's Tennessee Williams Festival, Film Festival. Yeah. And there are small intimate festivals. They'll say, well, how many people come to that festival? I said, well, I don't really know, but like the Juke Joint Festival is probably our biggest. It's all we can handle. I mean, we can push it a little bit, but if you're looking for a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 festival, that's not us.
Right.
We're intimate. As you can see, we're on the street, busking, whatever. Yeah. It's just
and then
it brought you here to play today at Ground Zero stage.
Which was a magical experience for me. And one of the things that I've noticed too is for people like Robin, for example, from the New Roxy, right?
Yeah, incredible.
She is a badass, and she spends a good portion of the year she's a sailor.
That's
she
right.
spends a big portion of the year on commercial ships.
I mean,
and then she comes back here. Yeah,
cargo containers on the Pacific.
Yeah. So do people have to be here full time? How does that break down? How many people are here full time versus some of the time, and like bring in and cross pollinate culture from somewhere else? How does that work?
Well, it's a matter of just landing here and just finding your vibe and your friends, and so you have friends that kick in. I mean, her setup is that she's seasonal when it's her season that she sets up. Of course, she's going to take off during Deep Blues Fest. She's an amazing person. She helps me quite a bit with tourism and our social media. I was a social media virgin when I got this job in January. Okay. And so she's kind of getting me up to speed. But you take Hambone, when he goes off on tours or doing festivals.
That's Stan Street.
Stan Street, I'm sorry. But he's got enough friends that want to come here and babysit his gallery while he's doing it. I mean, they can't wait. They come from Portland up in Tennessee. They just take turns. And, it just works out. You just go with the flow. That's incredible. You just can't, you can't cookie cutter it. And it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
We're not for everybody, but.
Who is this not for?
Who is it not for?
Yeah.
If you're coming in here looking for Gray Line bus tours, I mean, we've got tours, but it's not by the masses.
Right.
We're intimate. We want to have an intimate talk, relationship. We want you to be intimate with our musicians and our club owners. You go to Grandma's House of Pancakes, see Archie. I mean, you couldn't have a guy with a bigger smile. I don't know if y'all were at Messenger's pool halls last night, but you have Sherman and Marthella. I mean, you just and Clarksdale is not so unique in the sense that other towns and cities don't have them. They haven't embraced it or slowed down to really look at it. And I think we were at the bottom of our bucket when it just little by little, person by person, connected. Yeah. And all of a sudden, now we're all in a big kumbaya moment, holding hands, like this is good because we're now, even people that have been here forever in Clarksdale going like, man, something is going on. Something is happening. We're getting 2 factories here. Something is happening. There's a momentum. We've been beat down so long. Yeah. And in 1917, 1920, there were more millionaires per capita in Clarksdale than anywhere in the country, as per the Wall Street Journal.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's why you have that 7-story building over there. Cotton went from a nickel over $1.
Oh.
You know what it is today? About 65 cents a pound.
Okay.
So, this was huge. Yeah. This was a new frontier. The West had been settled. The gold rush was over.
Yeah.
And they were coming this way, and we were a young town. We were 1860s something.
Let me ask you a tough question. So you talked about, I mean, Mississippi is a very poor state, right? And you have a lot of problems with how do you and you talked about helping people see opportunity and bringing hope and bridging that gap. And I interviewed Callie Nolan, right, with Rocky
Callie.
Coffee Roasters and Griot Arts and what they're doing to educate, to help instill skills in people. What are some of the things that you see and like initiatives and people whose initiatives should be advertised widely to make sure, because I love hearing stories of people who are doing work to help people with education, with hope, with things like that. And how do you see the boom that's going on here, or the beginnings of a boom, like with cross-pollinating to that?
Well, are you familiar with the broken window syndrome?
You know what? I've interviewed some people in Detroit, but if you want to, which is a big deal there, why don't you share that with?
Well, it started in New York, and I've forgotten. I don't know if it was Mayor Koch or who, but it was about the broken windows and the run down empty lots, and it was just breeding drug trafficking, everything, all the crimes you could imagine. And I don't know if it was him or his police chief, but they went in and we're going to clean this up. We're going to take this environment away, and it just impacted. It just got rid of the violence, and so that was the thing. People say when I was doing the Yazoo Pass building, they say, "What are you doing here?" And I tell them I'm going to have a little hotel, and they say, "You're going to have a hotel? There's nobody here," and they go on, and I'd say, "Well, what's the deal? You got a place that's not doing anything." And why would you say something like that? I mean, if I'm the fool to do it, okay. Yeah. Well, that building now, just on a ground level, 10,000 square feet, it wasn't doing any sales tax. Ad valorem tax was $1,800. Now we're paying over $13,000 in ad valorem taxes, and it was frozen, and all that money pretty much goes to education. Yeah. We're doing $70,000 in sales taxes. It's created 20 jobs. How is this not, That's amazing. So the guy that I'd have little boys come by and see it in the beginning, and they'd say, what you doing up in here? And I'd tell them, and I'd say, what do you think about that? And they say, we don't know. They'd come back a year later, and I'd say, what do you think? They say, man, it's looking good. Yeah. All you want is just to be a catalyst, just a spark for them to see something that is not normal in this world, in this environment. And
progress are contagious.
And passion. They saw me in there working. Yeah. I'm working. I'm sweating day and night. Yeah. And but I speak to them too. How you doing? And I think that's one of the things that Clarksdale is not so different from the rest of the world. It's just a microcosm. We're just real close together. And so what you can do is you can impact people by just patting them on the back, just saying, "How you doing, man? What's going on?" Picking up a piece of trash.
I saw you do that. We're walking around the sidewalk, and there was a candy wrapper or something. So it takes.
I can't get them all, but I try.
But that's exactly. I think that's a big key to this. It's like, you can't save everybody or everything, but you can do whatever it takes. It takes you changing yourself and you seeing what are the things that you can do to impact, the environment, and then that's contagious. That you can. Yeah.
Well, in Starbucks, I read something, and Starbucks of all people, which I don't have anything against Starbucks. I love Starbucks, but they said humans underestimate the power of a gentle touch, a pat on the back, or a kind word. Yeah. That's all you got to do. Yeah. You don't have to sell anything. Yeah. You don't have to save them. Just say something. Yeah. You don't know if they talk to anybody today.
Right. There's a lot of cool things. So I saw. I played a Cathead stage earlier today, and when I was there, I saw photographers showing you some images of the Paramount Theater. Yeah. So the Paramount Theater is a beautiful older theater. Now I presume it's empty right now.
Oh yeah, the roof fell in.
So similar to the new Roxy, right?
No, hers is a lot better.
Really?
Mine really fell in.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it was a 3-tier balcony. You would seat 1,000 people. Wow. It was old vaudeville. It has 3-story dressing rooms.
Is that the next frontier of revitalizing Clarksdale?
probably the next frontier of doing me in. You know, my main concern is that I don't lose any more. I mean, it's deteriorating now, but I just have hope, and I believe that I wasn't brought this far or this town was brought this far for something not to happen. Years ago, when I bought it, I was thinking, you know.
Oh, you own the apartment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All those buildings there.
I had no idea that I was
I
getting
own
into
another
that.
building over here without a roof, too, across from the other theater.
Yep.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I believe in the underdog. I want to see what can happen. And, you know, people say you ought to, you know, why don't you start to raise some money? Well, you know, you're talking about $15-20 million.
Is that what it would take?
Sure, if you want to do it right. You know, we want to do it right. And I think that day is coming that because of the people we work with and the contacts we work with the group out of Franklin, Tennessee and Nashville that love Clarksdale and not that they're going to come and save it, but it's through all these mediums, through the podcast, through the articles that you don't know who's out there that wants to be a part of it. Or, you know, like the Travelers Hotel, we did historic tax credits. We got a grant from the Walton Foundation. Yeah. The key for anybody, particularly, you know, people that are struggling with passion, that have passion is, how do you keep going? How do you have enough water to get to the next watering hole? I don't know. Yeah. You just keep going.
Just got to keep unfolding, right?
I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah.
I don't let it consume me. I keep pushing.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So that's something that a lot of our audience can relate to, small business owners, and how do you keep that faith going when maybe like things are, you know, don't go well, and when you just gotta keep, you know, running on faith.
Mine is spiritual, so I'm gonna just tell you.
Yeah.
And I'm a Christian. Yeah. That's it for me. Okay. And it's changed. And through all of this, it's been a journey. Yeah. To really grow that in me, and it's not me. This is not about Bubba O'Keefe. I mean, this is all of this is for it. I was just a little bitty starter that has evolved into a world-class. I hate to say product, but it's a world-class product. Yep. You know, when I go out traveling, and I'm talking about London, Liverpool, next month's Brazil, I don't sell Clarksdale. I just share it. Yeah. I don't have to sell this. But for that person that's in the trenches, you know, same thing for songwriters, artists, anybody. I mean, you just got to keep pushing. Because if you give up, you give up. I don't know if you heard me tell the story about when I was at the Pilgrimage Festival 2 or 3 weeks ago in Franklin. I'm on the Americana music stage. This guy told me he wanted to interview me, and I get up there, and I'd met this guy years ago, and he does a big bluegrass festival, and he had me up there, and he puts his arm around me, and he says, "This is Bubba O'Keefe." There's about 200, 250 people out there, and he says, "Bubba, dance." I said, "Tommy, I don't dance." He says, "You do now. Hit the music." And I'm looking at those people. I started dancing.
There you go.
You know, you can either walk off in shame, you can either walk off, you know, doing the best you could. You know, yeah. I'm not Fred Astaire by any means or any clogger.
Not what I heard.
Yeah. But I gave it my all. Yeah. And that's all you can do. Yeah. And I tuned out. I don't care what these people think. I'm in a weird position here. Yeah. I got to do the best I can. Yeah. And I walked off. I mean, I did it. I walked off, and I'm glad I didn't not dance. Yeah. That would have taken me years to overcome. It would have haunted me. And so I think that's the thing is you don't miss these opportunities when they come up. Don't overanalyze them. Don't you know, go with your heart. Yeah. Go with your soul. And yeah, you know, you're going to make mistakes. Okay, well, you know, you made them honestly. And if some that are dishonest, you got to get over that. Get over that. And embrace life and enjoy it to the fullest of every day, because it's a beautiful life. Yeah. You know, and you can pull up and get out of there. You can help somebody. You can encourage somebody. Yeah. It's just a wonderful trip. It's a wonderful trip.
That's amazing. Yep. Those are beautiful, beautiful words and beautiful thoughts to wrap this up. Where can people find you? If people are interested in learning more about Clarksdale and about everything you're doing, What is the website? And if people are interested in contacting you, where can they find you?
Absolutely. It's visitclarksdale.com, and our email is crossroads at visitclarksdale.com.
Yeah.
We're in the old train depot at Clarksdale, downtown Clarksdale, at the intersection of Ezequina and 3rd Street behind the Greyhound bus station.
Okay.
And, if they want to call, the number is 662-627-6149, the Crossroads.
6149. You gave me that number earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, I see what you did there. 6149.
And call. I mean, we'd love to help you in any way we can, and just share Clarksdale with the world.
Sounds good. And we'd be remiss if we didn't give Brooke Atwood a shout out as well.
Absolutely.
We'll include,
Beautiful. Downtown Clarksdale.
We'll include a link to her amazing boutique as well on the show notes. Bubba, thank you so much for taking the time to talk.
It was good to meet you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Brooke, for letting us be here.
Thank you.
Of course, anytime.
Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes.